Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the T&T Podcast. As always, it's your boy Tyler Layfield, joined by my co-host Torres. Fanny Torres, how's it going, man?
What's up, Tyler? Hey, man, happy to be back on here once again. We know we've been gone for a little bit, but a lot of busy work between both of us individually. But I am going to say, for one, Tyler was in the championship game with his
Yeah,
soccer team. Is in the championship, which is it's still an
still,
accomplishment, bro.
yeah, it
And they
is,
played a
man.
really tough team in the finals, and yeah, you told them how you can explain to the viewers how.
Yeah, last 3 minutes, 3 minutes left in the game, gave up a PK to lose it. So it was tough. The kids, it wore me, man. The girls were just it was tore up, man. So yeah, it was a rough way to end it, but it was a great season nonetheless to outscore your opponents 32-1, but the one that you allow is the one that got you. That's what hurt.
Dang.
It just you
What a
can't make
wild
it up.
stat. You can't make that.
Can't
That's the
make it up,
craziness
man.
of sports. What a wild stat. The
Yeah.
only point. Oh wow, wow.
Yep. So yeah, now we're looking forward to the future. Got nine of them leaving for high school. Seven of them were like pretty key contributors. So now moving on. So now we got kids going for club tryouts here next week. We're gonna be doing some work over the summer. Got a camp we got going on.
That's good.
Practices we'll be doing. So we'll be hitting the ground running for next year, so we can be in that game again for the fourth straight year. So
That's right.
hey, it's
Hey
like
man, look.
it's just like when people talk about LeBron and all. Yeah, he would make it to the finals, and even I'd rather be there every day of the week than be watching from the sideline, man. I'd rather be in that situation if possible. At least give myself a chance to win that thing.
Look,
So
I tell that to people all the time that you just being there, having that opportunity. For one, you've shown that you can be consistent. You're doing a really good job there at Howard Middle. With those girls, they're playing really, really good. They went to four straight championships.
yeah,
I mean, has that even been done in the school before?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's been the school's been around. I want to say since early 2000s, so could have happened early on, but
To be honest, I'm be honest. I doubt it. I really do doubt it. So like that's what I'm saying. You've already have exceeded anything that obviously for the women's soccer that they ever seen. So you keeping it going, man. Keep it going. Congrats on the season, though. Congrats on
thank
the
you, man.
season.
Appreciate it. Well, we were sitting here talking about some wins, some losses, things like that. We were talking about one team in particular that really lost a trade that everybody agreed
Yes, they
lost a
did.
trade when they
Yes,
gave
they.
up Luka Doncic to the L.A. Lakers, and that happens to be the Dallas Mavericks. That's your team, but somehow, some way, and everybody has their theories when it comes out about this. They're saying it's rigged. They're saying that, how did the league do this? But Dallas comes in. I'll have to look up the percentage here in a second, but they come in with some of the most slim odds to get the number one pick. But lo and behold, Torres, here you are. Cooper Flag is within grasp. How do you feel as a Dallas Mavericks fan, man?
I'm actually really, really excited. So I don't think we had an opportunity to really talk much throughout the playoffs, which we will get to later on in the show. But seeing a team like Dallas, how they look throughout the end of the season, like they made it to the play-ins, obviously got put out. But to see a team like that make it that far, what they had, obviously we had Kyrie go out with injury. What was he? Towards
Yeah.
ACL, I believe. Um,
Yeah, they're saying he's probably not going to play this next season unless it's like late, like maybe real late regular season, maybe playoffs, early playoff.
I'm about to
Different.
say, I mean, ACL at best with the technology now. Now, granted, his age does play a factor.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely cannot. I definitely see him maybe playing around January, February,
Could.
potentially. But with him, 80, and now obviously you still got Clay. He's a
Clay's in
shell of
a good
himself,
shooter.
but he's still there. And then you got Cooper. To have Cooper Flag come in is huge. And yes, Nico Harrison. Everybody said he was the worst GM. He should win worst GM award. Now, again, you want to talk about absolute luck. That trade turned in, that's the worst thing you ever done. How would you trade away the number one guy that got you to the finals last year? How could you do that? To, man, you got the number one draft pick. Sometimes some things just happen to be that way. And you're right. I think the percentage was 1.8% chance
That's
that the
it.
Dallas Mavericks had a chance to get the number one seed. I'm gonna be honest. They showed a lot of like different consistent things that happened throughout the year from the NBA through that. They showed
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, when he got traded from the Pelicans, they got the number one seed. When
Yep.
LeBron left Cleveland, they got the number one seed. When was another one? Who else was it? It was somebody else. I
Oh,
forgot who it
off
was.
the
It
top of
was
my
somebody
head.
else. Um, but
Back when the Magic,
it was
or no,
pretty
back when
consistent.
the Knicks, a lot of people thought that when Ewing went to the Knicks, that was like a one that people, talk about the frozen envelope thing.
That's right. And I got a question. Now I don't know this one. Is the lottery done behind the scenes or is it shown? Actually shown?
I think they already do it, and then they just announce it on live TV.
Okay. See, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Uh,
why. That's why people like that whole theory behind Ewing is that they knew that the envelope was the right one because it was like frozen or something like that. But I don't know.
mm-mm.
It's crazy stuff, honestly.
You're not gonna fool me with that mess. No, no. I'm sorry. Maybe there
I
was a
think
deal done behind the scenes. I don't know. I'm not going to be the conspiracy theory guy, but
it is kind of ironic though that all those different scenarios have happened in the past. When a big guy leaves, you immediately get the number one
number
picks.
one pick.
Yeah, Cleveland had a few of them. They had Kyrie, they had the Andrew Wiggins that later turned into Kevin Love, and then
Mm-hmm.
they had Anthony Bennett, which of course
Anthony
was
Bennett, yeah.
a
Oh,
huge
that's right. The
bust.
other one was Chris Paul. When Chris Paul left, and they turned around and had the number one seed the following year. When he left, who you
Was it
leave?
Charlotte?
It was Charlotte. Yes, left
Who'd they
Charlotte.
get? I'm trying to remember who they got.
Who
Who
did
did
they
Charlotte
get?
get when he left?
I forgot who they got.
Charlotte number one pick. Let me see if I can figure something out. I'm trying to remember who it was that they got.
Was
Um,
it? Was it them? Was he the other one?
I don't know if he was or not. I'll have to go back and look. Former
But
number one picks.
regardless, you know, it made Nico Harrison look like, okay, I made the right decision. I told you. But that's not really the real reason I'm making that case, actually. The reason I
Mm,
say this is because we'll get to it in the playoffs. But the LA Lakers, their performance in the playoffs, obviously from Luca,
wasn't good.
on the defensive end, it wasn't good. And we knew that was a flaw with him from last year, obviously in the finals. Now, yes, he got his team there. Very much a lot of credit given to Kyrie from the way he played in the playoffs as well. But a guy like Luca, man, he played really good. But Luca, offensively, when his shots are not hitting, he becomes almost a liability. It's like, what are you on the court for? Because you're not playing defense. You can't even guard a chair just sitting there. You can't guard nothing. You can't. I mean, when your shot's not falling, it's awful. Like when he has those
Mm-hmm.
bad shooting spurts, it's bad, and it made the entire Laker team like just fall off because he's going to be very ball dominant. Now him and LeBron, were playing off each other. LeBron didn't have his best of games, but he's older. You can't expect that. He can't go back in time. So Luka, you're the guy. You're the
You're
guy
gonna have to
right
be.
now,
Yeah.
and you didn't show up. So in hindsight, Nico was like, "Oh, see, I told you. See, I told you. He can't guard nobody. He went good. Y'all getting on me." And then what falls into his lap is the number one overall pick. So throughout the course of since when did that trade happen? March. Since March,
Mm-hmm.
he looked like the smartest man on the planet. But again, I think some of that stuff just happened by chance. He got pretty lucky. Again, that's why it's called the lottery. He got pretty lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Now getting Cooper Flag, having Kyrie, of course, you're going to have to deal without him for a little while, whether he comes back February, earlier. We'll have to see, kind of how it plays out. I know different people have different ideas, but like you said, the longer that time has gone by, the better people have recovered from things like that. So we'll have to see how it kind of plays up with him, Clay, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, Anthony Davis. Like they got a lot of good big men. They're probably going to have to get rid of one of them. I assume. Maybe Gafford try to get
Maybe.
some pieces back in return for him. Najee Marshall's pretty solid too. I like him, and Max Christie, who you got in the Luca deal. So they got some good role players. They'll figure out the rest, but Cooper Flag, freaking awesome, man. It's just wild that the Mavericks land him. They had Dirk, then you got Luca. Now you get Cooper Flag, and there was all these rumors about the new ownership getting rid of the team, or moving the team, better yet, to a bigger market, maybe like Vegas or something like that. But I think this might put that to rest. I think this might be what keeps Dallas, the Mavericks in Dallas, and we'll see a little bit of a resurgence from them because that's going to be a well put together team. Cooper Flag is like NBA ready now. He's been NBA ready
Mhm.
now for a little bit, so it's a guarantee that he's going to be the number one pick. That'll come in immediately, and he's going to gel with anybody. I mean, if you can replace Luka with anybody, it's going to be him. Like I feel like he's the perfect guy to kind of go back from. Different play styles, of course. But I think he's more athletic. I will say that, and I think we'll see. Career wise how he ends up, but hard not to see this guy. Having huge success in the NBA. I think he's going to be great. So pretty good there. How did the rest of it play out? I know the Spurs ended up with the number 2 pick.
Yep,
So we're
which
going to
was very
see the,
unlikely as well. That was another.
yeah, so that's going to be crazy. They got a lot of good options there too. Like it doesn't just fall off after Cooper Flag. Like there's still some really good guys. The Rutgers dudes, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, both of those are good. So Philadelphia, they'll get them a solid guy too. It turns out Tank can help them out in the long run. Philadelphia. Then you got Charlotte at 4. So once again, Charlotte they just can't. Man, it's just crazy how they just cannot catch a break. The
Yeah,
Jazz, the Wizards, then you got the Pelicans, Nets, Raptors, Rockets, that's awesome for the Rockets. They got that Phoenix pick. Trailblazers, Bulls, Hawks, and Spurs again. So, and then the Thunder will be there because they got the Miami pick. But that's pretty much how it kind of laid itself out. We'll see how it plays out. We'll have to do some see if we can get Jackson on, and we can probably do some NBA mock NBA draft stuff or something like that at some point because I am excited for this class. We're going to see how it plays out. There's a lot that's going to go on this offseason, probably a lot of trades. We're going to see how the draft works out. So a lot of movement going to be going on to say the least. And speaking of movement, we got a report. It was like late last week or midweek last week that Giannis is considering where he's going to go direction wise, and can't really blame the guy. Damian Lillard now rupturing his Achilles. You got the team just did not look that great, in my opinion. When you're going out and you're desperately trading for Kyle Kuzma at the trade deadline, which Torres, my thoughts on Kyle Kuzma,
I
the
know.
bonehead himself. It's not a good look, man. That means you are in deep doo doo. Like you're not looking good, man. Like it is not looking pretty at all. Do you think that Giannis will legitimately ask for a trade? Because they do have a meeting this week. It's been reported they're going to be meeting with him. Do you think he's going to ask for a trade? And if he does, where do you realistically see him going?
Well, one, I definitely do think he asked for a trade. I saw on his Twitter that he no longer have the Bucks in his
Oh wow, yeah.
header. It's him and his family. He calls
Mm-hmm.
himself an NBA athlete. He used to say, he's on the Milwaukee Bucks, but stuff like that. He no longer has that
Mm-hmm.
anymore. So I definitely think we will see Giannis go to another team. And look, in Giannis' eyes, look, the man already won a championship in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
He's already done the deal there. He got them their title. He was the best player. He got him an MVP. And Giannis a 2-time MVP?
Think so.
Yeah. He's a
Think
2-time
so.
MVP, NBA Finals MVP, got him a ring. He's done a lot in Milwaukee. I definitely can see the credit of him getting up and leaving, and it shouldn't be anything because if he didn't get the job done in Milwaukee, I mean, yeah, people make those cases like they were doing for Durant at the time, like they were doing for LeBron at the time, like they would do for anybody else that leave their original team and didn't get the job done there. But Giannis, he did, and he had a lot of success in Milwaukee. And I'll be honest with you, I think Giannis just sick of the management there in Milwaukee. He just sick of losing. I definitely can
Yeah.
see them going to a bigger market. That market, I don't know. There were rumors at a time that the Mavs could potentially trade the 1 seed for Giannis, but Nico shut that down pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw
So
that too.
that's good in that, right? Let's keep staying young. Giannis is going to go to a team that want to compete right now. I don't know. Like, I mean, who's there? I mean, you got what? Could it be the potential? What about Clippers?
Um,
Warriors.
maybe.
maybe. I know the Warriors already got their guys, but you never know. Uh, Rockets.
There,
Oh, that's
yeah, a lot of
another
people
one.
say
Rockets.
Spurs, Rockets, and Nets. Then
Oh,
some people
Nets. Ugh.
mention Miami. Miami, as long
Miami always got
as
experience. Yeah.
yeah, as long as Pat Riley's there, Miami's
Oh
going to go
yeah.
big fish hunt. Yeah, they're gonna go big game hunting, and Pat Riley's going to shoot his shot with Giannis. Best believe.
Mhm.
Um, Golden State is in the mix technically. It doesn't look like Kaminga is going to keep staying there. They could trade some picks, maybe some young talent with him, but I don't really see that as that much of a realistic possibility. Maybe the Knicks, which the Knicks are still going on. We'll talk about them here momentarily, but I think the Spurs, the Rockets, and the Nets are the three main ones. Doesn't make much sense for the Rockets to get involved here. Rockets already have a problem of not being able to shoot the ball that well. So
Mhm.
you're just going to bring in another guy that doesn't shoot the ball. That's he's this guy's great around the basket. He's great in transition. He's great to, he gets that momentum going, and once he gets around the goal, then that's where he's gonna get
Finish.
where he needs to go, and he's gonna finish. Yeah. So I don't think he's gonna help in that facet. I think they're already fine there for the most part. They need to score. Like that's why I'm saying like they need to go after like Kevin Durant. Like that's who I think they should
Oh
go
yeah.
after.
Oh yeah.
Like that would be a perfect fit there. The Nets, if I'm Giannis, I'm wondering like why would you want to go to the Nets? They're still
Don't
a
see that one, brother. I don't see that.
yeah. And so then that leaves you with the Spurs. So if we look at the Spurs, right now, if we just look up at the makeup of it, of course you got De'Aaron Fox. They just had that trade. Devin Vassell. Um, they still got Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, Wembanyama, of course. Him and Wembanyama together would be
That would be
kind of
huge.
wild.
What about Chris Paul?
Chris Paul, he technically this was a 1 year deal for
Oh,
him, so he could be back, but he might not. Stephon Castle's still there, great young player. He
good play.
is.
Yeah.
Jeremy Sohan, the former Baylor player, he's great. Um, and then it's like a mix of just just some young guys that are just hanging around. So I mean, you already got a good stockpile of talent. If you can bring him in, they can match some salaries. Keldon
Mhm.
Johnson, Harrison Barnes, throw in a lot of. God knows they got picks, so that's where you're going to end up. They have a lot to add to the mix when they get to the picks. But yeah, you look at the Bucks team, dude. Ruptured Achilles, Damian Lillard, who still has another 2 years. I want to say 2 or 3 years left on his contract, where he's making 48 million plus a year. So that's going to be on the books every year. That's going to limit what you can do in the
Good.
offseason. Kyle Kuzma's making 22 plus a year for another 2 or 3 years. You got Brooke Lopez on his way out. Bobby Portis possibly on his way out with a player option. Pat Connaughton, this ain't the same Pat Connaughton from years ago that actually helped them
We
win
won
the
the
NBA
championship.
Finals. Yeah, so it's rough. It's really rough looking at what the Bucks have. So out of those options, it looks like the Spurs probably have the best to add, that they can offer and the best opportunity. But it's just going to add to a loaded West. I mean, you look at the West already. The West is stacked. I mean, we already see that, throughout these playoffs. The teams that didn't make it in, like your Mavericks. The Mavericks, what did they do to get better already? They're adding Cooper Flag. So
Yep.
they're probably not going to be a playing team, or if they are, they can make it in. Like that already makes them better. Who was the other playing team for
You had the Grizzlies.
the Grizzlies? The Grizzlies, you can't really count them out either. That
Mm-mm. You
they,
can't.
they got a lot of young talent. But the Spurs, they've got this year, they got their own pick. They got the Atlanta pick at 14. They got Atlanta. They got a swap with Atlanta next year. They got another future Atlanta pick in the first round. Like they got a lot of different things they can kind of work with and swaps and stuff like that they can add to Milwaukee. But Milwaukee better try to load up on assets whenever they get rid of him, because it's they're gonna have to go down for a while to get back up. I feel like this isn't gonna be a seamless transition to staying relevant. This is gonna be tough. I think for them.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, outside of that, I don't know. I don't think the Mavericks are going to be able to. Well, the Mavericks still could have a chance at getting them. It's just you're not going to give up that number one pick this year. Like that wouldn't make sense to give up Cooper
They're not
Flag to
giving
go
up the
get
number
him.
one pick, man. They're gonna
No,
ride out with. They're not giving up the one pick. They're not.
no. But do you have anything else? Let's see. Mavericks draft picks. Let's see what you got future wise. You got your own in 2026, your own in 2028. You got the Lakers 2029 one, so you could throw that in there to get them. You got two 2029, picks. So yeah, I mean, you have a little bit to work with, but obviously, probably not what Milwaukee is wanting to get. For a guy like Giannis that has been their kind of cornerstone over the years. But we'll see. He's the first of many moving pieces of the offseason. We'll see what that meeting brings about if he does ask out. If I had to guess, though, I'm guessing it's the Spurs. Do I think the Rockets are stupid enough to do it? I do. I do think they are. Like I think they
Yeah,
are,
they
and
might,
it will.
man. They weren't too happy. I don't think they were too happy with Jalen Green, but
They're looking to get rid of him regardless. I
in
feel
that,
like.
and I'm about to say the way that he performed in the playoffs was pretty. Ooh, that was
Yeah,
nasty. That was bad.
They need scoring. They need a guy. They need guys that can score. And I mean, he does do some stuff from time to time that's good. Like he had little burst of scoring that he had go on in the playoffs. But Van Vliet was having to carry.
Yeah, he was.
They got some like, young guys that are good. Tari Eason, he's good. They got what's the kid they got from Auburn those years ago? The pick they got, the top one. He comes off the bench for him, but he's okay. Shangoon, Adams, like they need a score. Like I said, they need like KD if anything. But we'll see how it plays out. So let's talk about NBA playoffs, man. So let's talk first and foremost. Let's go to the East real quick. In the East, we had the Celtics and Knicks series, and the Knicks are moving on for the first time, I believe they said since 2001, to the Eastern Conference Finals. What you think
They
about that,
are.
dude?
I'm absolutely excited for the Knicks, man. Look, I was sitting there watching the Knicks play. It's funny. Me, Andrew, we all just every game, playoffs, especially when I was in Florida, keeping up with every single game, just going neck and neck, back and forth about who will win this and why. And I'm gonna be honest, man, the Knicks really surprised me. I did not see them beating Boston. Now, granted, yes, Tatum got hurt last game. What was it? Game 5. But that had nothing.
Yeah, game five.
That had nothing to do. No, it was game 4 actually, because they were down
Yeah,
3-1.
that's
Yeah,
right.
so he got hurt game 4. Even if Tatum plays, it means nothing. I'm sorry, because they went up 3-1
They were
while he
already
was
yeah.
playing. Those Knicks, they showed out. Derek, Bronson, I see why he won
He's
Clutch Player of the
unreal.
Year. He
Yes.
is number boy. We was having a few arguments in like some of the group chats about Bronson just getting his team to the finals. Does that make him top 5? By God, man, he's gonna have a real case. I mean,
Well, I
bro.
mean, who would you take above him? I mean, you're taking Jokic.
I mean, you got Jokic. I mean, what? SGA,
You take SGA
Ant
probably.
Man.
Ant, yeah. But would you take Ant over him? I don't know. You can make a case on that.
Yeah, you can. You can make a case.
Yeah,
You
I
can.
don't know.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards is awesome. I do believe in the potential, but
I
yeah,
mean, I'm excited to see Halliburton. Halliburton's dude, the way he played in the playoffs been freaking
yeah,
crazy.
he's doing pretty good. He really is.
But just to see how Brunson been playing, man. I mean, he's been elite. I mean, a guy just been showing out every close game, whether it was the Pistons series, whether it was the Magic series, obviously not Magic. I'm sorry, the Pistons, whether it was the Celtics series. The man showed out every single time and like stepped up to the plate, clutch shot after clutch shot, big make after big make. The entire team. But just not like a guy like him, man. I mean, their entire team has been playing so good for the Knicks. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, like, bro, the guy has definitely stepped up in this playoffs. A lot of people are
Yes.
talking about, obviously how he was playing last year for
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota, what he did to be able, he gets traded. And honestly, I would love to see a Minnesota and New York Knicks finals. Old man, the guy's going against his old team, the team that
Yeah,
traded them. Julius
that would be
Randle
interesting.
going
Yeah,
against the Knicks. It'll be a lot of really
DiVincenzo.
good storylines. But both of these teams got 2 tough teams on their plate, so it's definitely not written in the stars yet. But the Knicks have looked excited, and it's really good for basketball to have the Knicks, back on top, back in the realms of relevancy.
Yeah, they're tearing the place up. Like the
Mhm.
Knicks. You got Knicks fans just storming the streets, climbing up on power poles, like all sorts of crazy
Uh,
stuff they got
I
going on.
know it's
And,
fun, man. Like I enjoy when
yeah,
the Knicks are good. I did not see them beating Boston. Like
yeah,
my prediction at the beginning of the season was Denver and Boston, which Denver is getting their butts kicked right now, so it's
they got
over with for
tore
them.
up. Yeah,
That
I'm
game's
keeping
over
an eye
with.
on it.
And now you got Boston's out. Lost in 6 games to the Knicks, and just the way it went. And I definitely think a fatigue eventually played a factor for a team like Denver. Two back-to-back seven-game series.
Yeah.
Now, you had the injury, huge injury to Aaron Gordon. I know he's playing,
And
but
he's been, yeah, like you wouldn't, that's one thing I will say. You would not be able to tell that this guy has a grade two hamstring strain by
yes, he has
watching him.
played.
He
He has
hasn't
been
been
playing.
showing it.
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
what
he
tranquilizers they got him on or what they have done to him, but he does not look like he
well,
has a
they did
strain.
like he was showing like he's not sprinting. He's moving up and down the court. Now,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
He's
still hard.
jumping. Like I will say, he's jumping like up
Yeah,
there.
he's
He's doing.
jumping, but he's not exploding.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
as we know, we're talking about the same man that won the dunk contest, one of the best dunks in history. So like the guy got some ups, and he can't do that right now because he don't want that thing to pop. A torn
yeah.
hamstring is all technically a grade two, like a strained hamstring, is a technically a tear. It's just not as
I
bad.
just don't know how he's even doing what he's doing though.
I know
Like
that's incredible,
I feel like if I had that, I'd be out. Like
bro.
I'd be out of work for a
Hey,
little
we
while.
just saw what happened with Curry. I mean, Curry had a hamstring.
Yeah, and
He was
his wasn't
done.
even grade two.
No, it
I
wasn't even
don't
grade
think.
two. I don't
That's
think it was
what's
grade two.
crazy.
I
That
don't
is
think it was
what's
grade
crazy
two.
to me. That is wild.
And look,
Like
hamstrings are tough,
yeah,
bro. I had a hamstring injury when I was in camp for my first contender fight against Yuri, bro. Hamstring, I heard it. One of my last rounds of sparring. I'm getting ready to go, and dude, I'm moving around. I was like, oh my gosh. I was out for a week and a half. Like I could not
mm,
walk. My hamstring was so tight. I'm trying to move, transitions and things. And this is like 2 weeks before the fight. So I
wow.
had one last sparring session, and the rest were just like pass, make sure I kept my weight down because I couldn't do as much sweating wise because of my hamstring. All I had to do is ride the bike. So
Yeah.
I know how that feels. I absolutely know how that feels. And to
Wow.
see him out here playing, like you said, he's on every single medicine that is known to man.
Yeah.
To
They
be out
shot
here
him up
playing
with
in
some
game
special
seven.
stuff.
Yeah. That look, when that adrenaline is going, because I will
Yeah.
say, after my fight, when adrenaline is going, you don't feel nothing. But after my fight, my hamstring was
Boy.
so sore. Oh my gosh. I'll never forget that. It was so
Yeah.
sore. So yeah, you definitely get those type of feelings. But props to a team like OKC.
Yeah.
Man, they definitely showing out, and
They
I
are.
see why they're the number one team in the NBA. Boy.
Defensively today, to me, that's what stood out to me today is
They
the
did.
steals, the blocks, like mainly the steals. They've been just hounding the Nuggets, defensively and getting transition scores.
That's
But
gonna
yeah,
be a
no,
good series, bro. Minnesota and
yeah,
OKC. That's gonna be a
yeah.
good
Because
series.
they can match some of that height with Chet and with
Yeah,
Hartenstein.
they can.
They can match the Gobert and Julius Randle stuff.
Ooh. We got the
Shy
two
versus
young boys
Ant.
at it. That's all
Yeah,
right. We got the new
yeah.
blood at it now.
Then yeah, you get these other guys involved. So that will be a fun one. I think
Actually,
that'll be
technically,
fun.
it's new blood on both sides. I mean, the Knicks said. I mean, well, obviously the Knicks has won a finals, but I'm saying in terms of players,
It's been a
the
long
Bucks
time
in a
since all
long
four of
time.
these.
The only team that's won the finals out of all of these teams that will be the final four has been the Knicks. The rest, the
Yeah,
Pacers ain't won one. Minnesota obviously ain't won one. Neither is OKC. So
yeah,
this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun.
it
Somebody's gonna
will
be able to
be.
bring their unless they get their first ring. Obviously the Knicks, but these other three has a chance to get their city their first ring.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah, that'll be it'll be a fun one to watch. Yeah, speaking of those hamstring, like yeah, the soft tissue things they always end up lingering. Like I feel like
They do.
they linger around. They cause problems throughout the rest of it. But
They
yeah, I
do.
mean obviously the Jason Tatum Achilles thing like that was an important thing. But I feel like the way the Knicks were playing, it seemed like they were going to win it regardless.
Yep.
Because I know in game five, the Celtics still ended up winning. They had like a awesome Luke Cornett game where he had like 6 blocks or something like that, along with the a double and all like that. They had a really good game against the Knicks in Game 5, but it was only a matter of time. And then they're saying that Jaylen Brown was dealing with like a meniscus tear of some type. So not only was it Tatum, Brown was kind of dealing with stuff too. So, and it's wild to think about how deep the Celtics were throughout the season that you couldn't keep those guys a little bit more fresh. But that just shows you, sometimes you get unlucky with these injuries and
That's right.
everything. But the Knicks, you would think it would be happening to the Knicks. It
I
was
know.
just
Look who
last
their head
round.
coach is.
He just runs them in the ground. Yeah, he plays these guys like all 40 whatever minute, 48 minutes, and he just all right. You're going to play the whole game.
They're like,
but you
Coach,
don't see
we're up 20. You're playing the whole game.
Yeah, they were even playing like when they were winning the other night. Like it was just like he was still leaving the starters. Hey,
Hey man, like this happened with Derrick Rose. Like, can you
Yeah.
No, he's playing.
So he's just got a different philosophy about it, and you think it would be them. And it's funny to think about. Jalen Brunson. It was just the series before this. He went down with the ankle or something like that. Like
it
he
was
went
ankle.
down.
It was.
Yeah, and playing through it. So I mean, it's just all about getting lucky on the timing and everything. So they're going to be moving on to face the Pacers. The Pacers have been playing well. Good defensive team. Like they've been showing some good stuff. If you had to pick, who would you say is going to win this series and in how many games?
This is good, dude. This is gonna be a good series. The home team is the Knicks, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are, bro. New York's gonna be rocking, bro. Like
They will.
New York is gonna be rocking, brother. Like this place.
Pacers are on a roll though. They
Pacers is on a roll.
Gentlemen sweep of the Cavaliers, the number 1 seed.
Dude, let me tell you something. I was shocked to see how well and dominant that they were playing against the Cavs, man. I mean, shot for shot, just sticking it to them. Whether it was at home, whether it was on the road, and not only that, them boys went back to Cleveland and took them out. Like, gentlemen swept them. 5 games, get up out of here. And technically, they could have actually went on and beat them, but they dropped that game 3. Yes, I know the Cavs had an injury to
Garland.
Who said again? The big
Garland was out for a little bit.
Garland was out. Their big man was out.
There was like 3 guys out. Mobley was out game 1. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was out game 1, and then there was somebody else that was out game 1 too. Like it was literally just Donovan Mitchell.
It was
out of the big guys.
Who had a great performance.
Maybe DeAndre Hunter or something. But
maybe
it was something like that.
Maybe, but obviously a guy like Mitchell, he played really good. But man, looking at the entire team for like the Pacers, those guys are really good. They play really good defensively. They make so many shots. I mean, gosh, just seeing it like when they shoot the basketball, I mean, freak. I'm like, ooh, they can keep a run going. They're streaky. So watching Indiana, I definitely see them. They gonna give the Knicks some problems, man. But I definitely think the Knicks get their revenge. Indiana beat them last year in 7 games. We're going to see a switch up. Funny enough, the Indiana-New York Knicks has been a rivalry since the Reggie Miller days. So the 1990s.
Yeah. I
think this rivalry continues, and I think we see a switch up. I think now the Knicks get their revenge. 7 games. We're going to Game 7 in the Garden. Winner goes to the finals.
That would be nice. That
would be nice. I think that's what we're going to get, baby. I think that's what we're going to get. Ooh!
If you had to draw it up, that's how you would want it to look.
They already drew up from 11 months ago. The WWE been on a freaking pace, man. They've been calling all types of stuff. So they calling this, hey, give it to me, Knicks in 7.
All right. I'll go Knicks as well. And just to be different, I love this 7-game call. I hope that's how it does play out. I'll go 6. That's what I'll call it. I'll go in 6. Yeah, I'll go New York in 6. That starting 5 has been playing really well. To me, you have the ultimate difference maker in Brunson. I just think Brunson's going to be the difference between the 2 teams. Like he's just been kicking butt, man. He has been going crazy. And they still got some guys off the bench they can bring up to help out, but I really think that they are going to be the ones that come out of this and to play well and to go ahead and move on to the next round to go on to the finals. So let's see here. Let's look at the west side of things. So we kind of talked about it. Thunder and Nuggets. It's been a great series. Nuggets, for everything that they had gone throughout the year, getting, Mike Malone being fired, the GM being fired, the switch up that late in the season, like you're talking about, we talked about it on the show, but it was like literally like with 2 weeks left within the season, and you're doing that big of changes to go this deep, and make a deep run to be one game away from the conference finals. It's testament to how good that team is, and they were not going to be an easy out. I mean, I know that they're getting absolutely creamed right now, but they're down 38, but it really was a tough series. Anytime you get Jokic, Aaron Gordon has been amazing this postseason. I hate that he got hurt, but he's been on another level. We'll see if that transitions in the next season. Jamal Murray, not quite as much this year. It didn't seem like he was his normal self this year. Christian Brown was pretty decent. Michael Porter Jr. We'll see what direction this organization ends up going, but they need to do something to get a little different next year. I will say that. You want to keep Jokic happy, or you're going to have another situation like you're looking at with Giannis with Milwaukee, because those resources are starting to get older, and when you're not trying to crack again, but when you're depending on Russell Westbrook, off the bench, your team's not really in the best of places, I feel like. But looking at the Minnesota Warriors series, I know that we'll always kind of look at this series like, because Steph got hurt, and yes, that did play a major factor, because that was like game one, wasn't it, or game two?
Game one.
Yeah, game one that it happened. Obviously, we know how pivotal Curry is to that team. Like
the only game they won at that too. So
yeah, without him, there's just not that go-to guy. Like Podziemski was pretty solid, I will say that. Jimmy Butler in that last game, he really wasn't the best, only scoring 17 points. Draymond will only help you out so much, like in different ways, and he kind of had his shenanigans occur a few times throughout.
That's not Draymond if it doesn't happen. I think we need to check on him if he don't have a shenanigans happen.
Yeah, it's crazy what they allow him to get away with, at times, like and stuff. But
he's entertainment. I think at this point, it's a part of the NBA to have Draymond act a fool. So what they do is they say, you know what, we're going to allow you to do this only because it's you. Anybody else, you're getting kicked out. But just because it's Draymond, and he gives everybody, because everybody's head turns when Draymond act crazy. Oh, there you go again.
For real.
It is what it is on that.
So
he be doing some funny stuff. I just be like, oh my gosh, just that is like it's just all just sporadic. It's just out of nowhere. Like throw somebody down, hit him in the back of the head, and slam on him, and I'm like, dude, where did this come from? He playing basketball.
For real, he just does the most crazy things, honestly. One positive out of this for Golden State, Kuminga did start to shine a little bit there in the last.
He did.
I mean, he doesn't fit what they're doing really, but he was able to kind of put up some highlights that maybe this offseason they'll be like, hey, look what Kuminga can do. Don't you want him? Kind of thing. Like him scoring 26 in that last game may help his cause for getting out of there. I do think we're going to see a separation there this offseason. Somebody's going to end up trading for him, or they're going to end up trading him. It's something. He's up for sale. He is up for sale.
I'm going to tell you this, though, for me. It's like, sitting there watching that, it was a little discouraging, for a guy like Kuminga. Everybody was like, man, the Rockets are playing a double big. The Warriors need a big. Oh, they got one. Well, why don't he use? He's sitting on the bench. And he's sitting on the bench the entire time, like multiple games in a row.
Yeah.
Like, bro, we need Kuminga. Now, granted, the Warriors got through the series. They went on the road in game 7.
And they played him a little bit toward the end and stuff, I thought.
They did, but they still weren't using him, dude. They were not using him at all. It was
From what I hear, it's like philosophical differences. Like, he's not willing to pass up shots for Curry, and if you're not doing that, I don't know how you're going to function on that team. That's what I saw a report on. Like, it was something about Steve Kerr. Yeah. Steve Kerr says he just doesn't gel with the team, and if you don't gel with the team,
well, I mean, look, I don't disagree with that because everybody has their system, and I talk. This is an
and that sport. System is important for
if it's your system, that's your system. That's the way you need things to work.
Yeah.
I thought at times they needed him. Obviously, you saw them use him a lot in the Minnesota series with too little, too late. But I just, at a time in that Houston series, I definitely could see because that was a big story coming up. Hey, you need a
Mm,
big. Hey, y'all
yeah.
getting bullied inside.
Shangoon and Adams coming
That's
at you.
true. Like, what
Yeah.
are you gonna do? Draymond can only do so much.
Yeah.
And great, look, they won. So us talking about this is almost if like, okay, we won the series, man, and we won it in 7 games. So, hey, they did. But again, like, I definitely think there's value to Kaminga on the
Hmm.
right team.
Yeah.
But I just definitely don't think Golden State is his fit, and he probably doesn't think so either as well.
Somebody will take a swing on him. We'll see
Mhm.
who it is. I don't know. Like I haven't really done a deep dive in Kaminga, so he's not. He's a 6'7" full power forward is what they kind of list him at here. So he's not like huge by any means. So
Mhm.
he's not a real big, but I don't know who he'd fit with. Honestly, like I feel like you'd be looking at like a Brooklyn Nets, a team that wants to take chances on guys and stuff. Like I feel like it's going to have to be a team that wants to just take a shot, take a flyer on him, and see what he can do in a different system. But yeah, they're done. The Golden State's done. Minnesota's moving on. Minnesota's going to move on, and they're going to play the Thunder. And in that series, who do you think wins, and in how many?
Ah, so we're gonna have the MVP
Mm-hmm.
going against who everybody wants to presume as the new face of the NBA. We're gonna have to. It's still to be determined on that. Um, Honestly, that's a hard series to call, man.
Yeah,
Um, that's a hard series to call, but I think OKC's the best team.
they're pretty
I think
freaking
I,
good.
I, I think they're the best team, and this if crazy enough, as good of a series this is going to be because this is going to be a really good series. And in terms of like popularity, the casuals, people are going to be rooting for Ant. They want to see Ant succeed. Everybody wants. I want to see Ant. I be
Yeah,
honest
they're
with you,
they're
like
rooting for him to take the reins.
and so am I. Like as a fan, I want Ant to like be the guy. I want him to be
Hmm.
the new MJ, the new LeBron, the new
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
over the
yeah,
league. I want him to be that. But in terms of picking to be right, there's a difference.
yeah.
And to be right, I don't really see how they can beat OKC. I definitely see this series going at least 6 games. I think they can steal two.
Yeah, we could be looking at another 7 gamer. Honestly.
It's good. It's tight. It's tight. And this is the other thing that I also tell people. I don't really care for seedings this year for the Western Conference because all of the games that decided it was between like 1 to 3 games. Like just as much as like Minnesota's the 6th seed, it easily could have been like the 2 or 3 seed. Like it was that close in terms of seeding all the way down. So you know, oh, they're the 6th seed. No, I don't look at it that way. Plus, it's the playoffs.
Hmm.
Like every
Hmm.
game is different anyway. But I'm taking OKC in 6 to be correct. But what I'm rooting for Minnesota to win the series. I would love to see them in the finals. I would love to see Ant-Man in the finals. Uh, I definitely think he can bring back the value. A lot of people talking about the decline in viewerships for the NBA, but I definitely think he can bring back the value of that back to the NBA. He's an Atlanta boy. He's a Georgia boy. Went to University of Georgia to have a Georgia boy be the face of the NBA, man. Hey,
Be
go
cool.
Dogs. We would love that.
Yeah.
So I definitely am rooting for him. I'm rooting for him.
That's who I'll be kind of rooting for too. I want him to succeed. I want him to do well. I want him to probably, like you said, take the reins, that kind of thing. But how does Julius Randle deal with the height of like Chet Holmgren? That's what I'm kind of thinking of here. It's a pretty. I mean, Randall's been playing big lately. Like he's been getting down low, playing physical, that kind of thing. I mean, how I think this is going to work, they're going to have Timberwolves going to have Mike Conley. I think they're going to have him guard Lou Dort, just because that'll be the easiest kind of. The only place that's going to hurt him is like down low. If Lou Dort gets down low for like rebounds and stuff, obviously he's going to be able to box out Mike Conley. I think I think we might see Edwards. We saw him take on LeBron. At times during that series, I think we're going to see Ant take on the assignment of Shy. So
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna see SGA and Ant, which I'm really excited to see them two go at it. I think we're gonna see McDaniels play up on Jalen Williams, and then we're gonna see what the bigs do down low. So Nas Reed is gonna be pretty big factor, I think, in this, and so will Dante DiVincenzo
Yep.
and Nikhil Alexander-Walker. So we'll see them three off the bench. The people I've been liking off the bench, obviously, for OKC is Caruso and Casey Wallace. Those two have been my favorite. Casey Wallace, especially. I've been loving what I've been seeing from him. I think it's honestly pretty evenly matched. We're just going to see like OKC has the height advantage, but we could see what happens as far as like really how Minnesota gets coached. And obviously they've had a little time to kind of rehab, rest, get prepared for this upcoming thing. You just now got Game 7 ending as we speak
That's right.
for the Thunder. So, I mean, could that play a factor? It could, but we'll see. I mean, it's all a matter of, how they end up, going at it this next series. But if I had to pick, I'm kind of like you. I'm the better team, I feel like, all season has been the Thunder. It feels like the most logical, but yeah, I am going to be rooting for the Timberwolves. I'll take the Thunder in 7. I'll go another 7-game series because I do think these teams are pretty. I think they're pretty balanced out. I do think
They
we
are
see
pretty
some.
balanced. Yeah.
I think we see some some Timberwolves games get squeaked away. I think we're going to see Anthony Edwards really show up in some games. I think Naz Reid will come off the bench and light it up at times. That's what I'm saying. Like we're gonna see some. There's a lot of good players here. And
There's a lot of good players. It's gonna be good. I'm
I really
excited
do.
because we got, like I said, you got a new blood. These guys gonna be going back and forth. These guys gonna play to Tuesday. We got the first game tomorrow. So
Really, wow.
yeah, the first game tomorrow for the East. You got the Pacers and Knicks. And Tuesday you're gonna have the West with the OKC and Timberwolves. So Minnesota's gonna be traveling to whoever they go to. So they get to, at least OKC ain't got to worry about traveling. They stay home. So that's good for them.
Yeah. Well, anything else here you want to talk about before we break it down, dude?
No, man. Just hold up. Did we ever talk about the Shadur, how he's been looking currently for the Cleveland Browns?
Let's talk about it. Go ahead.
I've seen a lot of reports on him. He's been playing pretty solid. Like he's been looking pretty good. But there have been one of the guys. He's a guy that covers the Browns. They've been saying that Dylan Gabriel has been neck and neck, and they say Dylan been slightly looking a little bit better than Shadur in the.
I'm honestly a little shocked by that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't really. I like Gabriel and all, but I'm not like over the moon about him. Do I think Shadur is a bad quarterback? No, I don't. I just think the attitude kind of stuff screwed him. That's what I'm saying.
True.
Like I feel like if I had to pick who's more talented, I'd probably pick Shadur.
Yeah, I definitely think Shadur is definitely a more talented quarterback. But I think systems come into play here. You have to always look at a team like Oregon. Look at what's the head coach who came from Georgia? Yeah, Lanning. I mean, look at this. I think he runs. It's not exactly pro style, but it's closer to an NFL type system than others. And I think Dylan just fits pretty easily over there, playing with those guys. Plus, Dylan had a great season last year. Like
he did. He was a Heisman finalist.
He was a Heisman finalist. He had a really good season last year. Now, yeah, I know some people might not like the teams that he necessarily played, but they won the Big Ten championship. They beat Oregon. Who else they beat? They beat Penn State. They beat Michigan. I mean, they beat some good teams. So, well, not Michigan, but Michigan was still. It is what it is. But they still beat their teams over there in the Big Ten. They beat their quality teams. So, I think Dylan Gabriel, he's not too bad. Not too bad overall. I still think it's gonna be neck and neck. It's gonna be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. You already got multiple quarterbacks on the roster. Obviously, Deshaun Watson going through his thing, but he's currently injured. He's done.
I don't think you see him take another snap for the Cleveland Browns. I really
Probably
don't.
won't. So we're gonna have Joe Flacco. We're gonna have
Kenny Pickett.
Oh gosh. I think Kenny's just there. I'm sorry. I don't see.
Could be. I'm just saying, but he is.
Yeah, I mean,
he's been
there,
around longer than the two rookies. Like
I don't see that. But yeah, Kenny Pickett. But see, this is the thing. You're right about what you said about Watson. But look at the money they paid him. He ain't you gotta come.
They just got to eat it. They just got to eat it.
You probably do got to eat it, especially if any of these younger quarterbacks come in and actually makes a difference. But my gosh. Looking at these teams now, I mean, they got 5 quarterbacks on the roster. And I've heard some people say they potentially think, and this is people talk. This ain't no reports. This is just people talk. They say they don't know if Shadur can make the team. And I say, this is crazy. It's crazy. There's no way they're going to cut this man, especially the media that he's getting. You'll be if you want to talk about showing up, burning something down, dude. They gonna come after you. The Browns found a way to let go of Shadur. But I mean, it's the NFL. It
They've
is
been
what it
showing the
is.
highlights of him doing 7-on-7 work. It had, there's been some pretty good plays.
That's been really good plays. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
gonna play. I think the preseason, you probably gonna have one of your most watched preseason games with the
You
Cleveland
will.
Browns in
You will.
history. Everybody's
You
gonna
will.
watch Shadur Sanders in that playoff game. I'm sorry, preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think he'll make some noise. I think he'll end up at least like the third string, behind Dylan and at worst, because Joe Flacco's playing. He's starting. I don't see none of those guys getting over Flacco right now. But as
Yeah.
the season go on, if the season not going the way it is,
You might take a shot on it.
they're gonna take a shot. Yes.
Keever asked me an interesting question. He's drafting in a dynasty league. A dynasty league means you keep the same roster every year. You just kind of build. It's more similar to like what the NFL does.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think? He said, "Do you think Milroe or Sanders is better long term?" Then he also said, "Throw in Ewers." And I told him the first time I said I'd go based on draft capital. Milroe was a third rounder. That's what I'd go with. I told him I stuck with it. I know Ewers is going to Miami. I know Tua's been prone to get hurt. I know Shadur, was there. But out of those three, who would you take? If you had to take a
Um,
gamble on one of them long term.
long term,
I feel
man.
like the most safe bet out of all three of those, it's got and as crazy as it is to say, I think it is Milroe. They put a third round pick on him. Like that's a lot of investment, for a guy that didn't really quite live up to things like in college football this last year, but has shown some spurts of talent. I'd go with him. I really would. I'd go with him.
I mean, it makes sense because Milroe's on the Giants, correct?
Seahawks.
Seahawks. That's right. That's right. Seahawks. The
He has
head
a chance
coach.
to overtake
That's right.
Darnold.
So the Seahawks head coach. I remember this. The Seahawks head coach was the former quarterbacks coach and offensive analyst for the Baltimore Ravens during both seasons that Lamar Jackson won MVP. So he's been there over a course of the
There you
time.
go.
So because that's when everybody was asking, why would you draft Jalen Milroe? And then so because I went into all the deeper research because when I was arguing with people about Shadur Sanders, everybody bringing up race. I'm saying it's way more than that. Now, yes,
Mm-hmm.
because some people not like him, yes, but it ain't race, y'all. It's not everything ain't about race. And I was doing a little deeper research, and I said, well, let me come to the conclusion of why each team did what. And I remember the Seattle, like new head coach and new offensive coordinator, both have ties to Lamar Jackson. Oh wait, look who they drafted. And then for somebody to say, well, they got Geno Smith. I said, yeah, no. When the Ravens drafted Lamar, they had Joe Flacco. It's not like we brought him in and we're like, oh, now you got to fit this system. No. They saw that Lamar didn't fit the system for Baltimore. So they said, all right, let's change our whole system for the player. And what has it done? It worked really well for Baltimore. And I can see the same thing happen for a team like Seattle.
Could.
At first, they're going to be like, all right, Miro, you got to play by our system. But if they see some sort of success into what he's doing, they're gonna switch it, flip it. Like, all right, let's try to fit Jalen. The moment they try to fit Lamar, he literally won MVP the next following season with 14-2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't tell me that guys, teams sometimes do conform to the player. I know most of the time they say the player got to come into my system and make it work for them, but sometimes the team will change everything to make it work for the player. I definitely could see opportunities for a guy like Jalen Milroe, so it wouldn't surprise me because like a guy like yours, you're playing on chance. Yeah, you're right. Tua has a lot of injury opportunities, but if Tua doesn't get hurt,
You're just stuck there.
you just stuck there. So
And they're invested into as much as we like to say that he really. I mean, I know he's had some good games here and there. I have my own opinion. I don't think he's all that great. I don't know if he's really worth that investment, especially after all the injuries.
yeah.
But as much as they have invested in him, they're not just going to pass him by for Quinn Ewers. Like it's just not going to happen. But speaking of the Milroe thing, like it was very well known last year with Geno Smith. Like he didn't really have an offensive line. I don't think they really did much to make that offensive line better, for Sam Darnold this year. So one thing about Milroe though, if the offensive line breaks down, what can he do? He can run. Darnold can do it a little bit, but a lot of scouts had Milroe as the best runner of the football, like in this pre-draft process. So I mean, it's just, I mean, there's things he can offer up that can really help out, like in that system. I think so.
Yeah, I just hit.
If I had to gamble, that's who I'd take. You know,
I
out of
will
those
say a
three.
team that I said it then, I said it again. New Orleans Saints once again made a blunder. Derek Carr is now retired. Now
Yep.
Tyler Show is probably going to be the one to step in. Whoever else they got, I think that who else they got on that
They
quarterback?
got they got Spencer Rattler, and they also got Jake Hayner. Rattler did not look that great last year. Of course, he had moments, in college that he looked pretty decent, but we all know the attitude there sucked. Like I did not like him as a person, just based off of videos I'd seen and stuff. But they invested a lot in Shuck. I mean, they drafted him pretty highly, man. So I mean, they knew what they were doing. They decided to make that pick. I have to feel like they knew that Carr might not play this year before they made that pick. So they made their bed, now they're going to lay in it. We're going to see if they were right or not.
Yeah, well,
So
like I said, there's some teams that make dumb decisions no matter what the decision is. And I said, that's the Saints. Everyone said, well, why the Saints pick him over? I said, bro, the Saints been making bad decisions for a long time.
yeah,
Like, don't get mad at them because they make bad decisions.
yeah, they do it to
Look, I'd
themselves.
rather go to a team that has some sort of like good management over a team that's just gonna always make bad decisions no matter what.
Hmm.
Now I'm not saying the Browns are always make great decisions because look what the heck they've done. I mean,
Yeah,
you paid Deshaun Watson that amount of money after all that he had just came back from anyway. At the time he got given the contract, we all said this makes no sense, and as we see, it surely makes no sense. So
yeah.
like,
Now it's really sucking. Yeah.
yeah.
Now you're really paying for it. So yeah. Well, anything else?
Anything on the Bulldogs?
Bulldogs. Trying to think. Oh, the 5-star quarterback Jared Curtis. He committed a couple weeks ago, so that was good. There was a 5-star offensive lineman, and I know Kobe and Jackson are ready to argue about it. He did pick Miami. They're paying him 2.5 plus million a year. They're starting him off at 2.5 for the first year, and they're going up from there. That's at least what it's rumored to be said. They like to argue that it's about development plus the money. I have my own take on it. I feel like it's just that money. And I do not blame the kid at all. If you want to go make that amount of money, go make that amount of money. But if you're going to sit here and tell me they've been developed and everything, you got Panay Sewell at Oregon when Mario Cristobal was there. Yes, he's great. He's still a great offensive lineman for the Pistons, or for the Pistons. I'm sitting here thinking about the Detroit, for the Lions. And then you got Francis Mauoga, who has yet to leave college. Like he's now going into his third year. Yeah, if you want to base it off those two, sure, that's awesome. But really, Stacy Searles, as much as we give him crap, the offensive line coach at Georgia, he has put more offensive linemen in the draft, I think, just this year alone. So think about it this year. Tate Ratledge, Cedric Van Pran, um, who else am I missing here? Dylan Fairchild, like all those guys. He's put more than they had the past three. Like so, I'm pretty sure that's the right statistic that I looked at. But it's just, I mean, I don't know how you're gonna sit there and say development is why I picked Miami. Miami did have a pretty good season, but we all know that they kind of choked when it was all said and done. I just when you look at it, when you're gonna go to Georgia, they have been willing to open up the wallet a little bit more lately. They wouldn't have got that quarterback without giving him money.
That's
But the
right.
other thing about it is they're not going to go to exponential figures to get a guy, especially a guy that hasn't played a snap in college football up to date. So yeah, if it's all about the money, I've heard Kirby say this in person when I went and heard him at the Jamboree. If it's all about the money for you, then this ain't the place.
This ain't the
Like that
place.
that's really what. And I don't, like I said, I'm not cracking the guy, for doing it, but you have to think. So this lineman Torres, he was represented by Drew Rosenhaus. He's already represented by Drew Rosenhaus, one of the top,
He
sports
is
agents
what
there is in
time
the
it.
business. Yeah, he's awesome. Drew Rosenhaus did his job. Like he did his job and he did it really well. In this case, because I don't think anybody else was coming close to those numbers. I really don't. I think Oregon might be the closest to it because they got that Phil Knight money,
Uh huh.
but yeah, he ended up picking them. But they just picked up Georgia. Also just picked up a safety from Houston County, Jordan Smith, 4-star
Okay.
guy. Yeah, good
Oh,
defensive back. So I think he can do some stuff. We're going
he's
to
a
see how
senior
this
or a junior?
this year will this upcoming year he'll be a senior. So yeah, he's a
I
class of
think I
23
know of
senior.
him. Funny enough, I think he used to go to Northeast. I think that's the guy. Maybe I'm completely.
Let me see here.
Maybe I'm
Jordan
wrong. Maybe I'm
Smith,
wrong because there was a talk
North.
about a potential safety that had left to go to Houston County, It was a safety or wide receiver. One of the maybe I'm wrong.
So let me see here, Southwest.
See if it was him. Maybe I'm wrong. But there was a player that was supposed to go to that used to be at Northeast that went to Houston County. He was really good, and some people thought he would have helped contribute towards obviously.
Oh, he definitely would have contributed. Yeah, knowing him, right? Because I mean, all I got here is that he's from Warner Robins.
Oh, well, that's not him.
I don't know if it'll tell me. Well, I mean, but they'll just say that because he goes to Houston County right now. I don't know if it'll tell me what his previous schools were.
Max Prep would show like where all his years.
Northeast. All right, hang on. Actually, let me look at it. Jordan Smith.
Yeah, just look up Jordan Smith.
Warner Robins. Max Preps.
Yeah.
Let's see here, because you could be right. All right, so I'm clicking on him now, and it'll tell me where would I go to bio maybe.
Yeah. Yes. Because it'll show like all his stats and everywhere he played at.
Or his stats. All right, I'll go to stats. So varsity 2023-24. Yeah, it's not showing me much on there. I don't know. It's not showing me.
Then that's not him.
I think that he may have been there all those years. I think he might have been there, but I don't know who the safety is you're talking about. But speaking of safeties, Howard's got a safety that I used to teach. He's a
really?
four-star now. Yeah, he's been offered by Georgia, Auburn, Clemson, Louisville. Like he's starting to pick up a lot of offers. So Tyshawn Poole.
Tyshawn Poole. That's good. All right, then.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and what school is he currently going to?
He's at Howard High.
Howard.
Muhammad's coaching him over at Howard High. Muhammad Smart. Yeah, Muhammad Smart's over at Howard High, by the way. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's so cool, man. That's cool. That's good. Go ahead then, Muhammad. Go ahead then, brother.
Go on ahead. But yeah, that's the latest with the Georgia stuff. They got their recruiting stuff going on now. We'll see, whenever they start getting some other guys involved. But right now, that's the latest. The last 3 commitments of note for them. So we'll see how the summer goes, though.
That's right.
Yeah. But anything else?
No, that was good. Good show.
Yeah. Any updates you want to give us on you with your career right now in the UFC?
Nothing. Just me. Just training. Just enjoying it. Just enjoying it. Taking it one step at a time. So yeah, nothing new here.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the live stream. If you listen on podcast, we appreciate you doing that as well. If you want to listen to us on podcast, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere really that podcasts are located. If you want to support the show, just click in the description, go to the Linktree link, and there's different ways you can do that. You can also follow us on all of our socials that we've had going across the bottom of this screen, or it's also located in that Linktree link. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, we'll see you next time.
Boom, boom.